Hello. So you're our willing participant for our little project today. Great. Give me 1 moment. Let me simply turn to a blank sheet of paper so I can document, the results. They already have you on one of the IVs already going, or rather already dripping, right? Great. Okay. Now, before we start, may I have your name, please? Thanks. Okay. Today's date is today's the 2nd. March 2nd, 1956. Okay. Let me just make a rough summary of your appearance. Now, how are you feeling so far? With the IV dripping and everything. Okay. So a bit tired. You feel like you're gonna go to sleep? Okay. And how are your side effects doing? Such as, is your vision starting to get a little more dim? Are you starting to kind of zone out? Are you starting to zone out? And do you feel like you're falling asleep basically? Okay. And how long have you been feeling this way? Okay. A little while now. And I'm assuming you don't feel very coherent at the moment. Okay. Now that you feel kind of tired, I'm gonna be writing down some notes. You tell me when your vision starts kind of blacking out. Once it starts blacking out, tell me immediately, and then we'll start with the next step of the process. But for right now, I'm gonna continue jotting down some notes as to, how I myself perceive you to be reacting to the IV dripping and whatnot, and then once you start blacking out, tell me, and then I'll change the IV. Okay? Great. You're starting to black out now? Okay, great. Let me just get you started on the other IV. Okay, so it's starting to drip. You should feel a difference in your temperament, I guess, after the drip starts going into your system. Once more, just to tell me what the difference is, if you feel a difference in how you respond to that. Anything changing? You feel more accelerated? Okay, are you feeling more awake than before? Okay. And how do you feel your body's responding to having both drips going at the same time? Odd to say the least, but any specifics? Okay. Now, I noticed that your pupils are kind of, dilating, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. That could be an indication to the fact that your system is kind of trying to absorb all the information that it can, while at the same time trying to go back to sleep. So is that kind of the overall sentiment as to what you're feeling right now? Is just this conflict of extreme energy at the same time matched with extreme, what's it called? An extreme fatigue? Okay. Now, prior to you coming in, we did tell you to not tell us anything when we ask you questions, to not give us a single answer back. We ran a controlled test on you prior to you, being put on both IVs to test whether or not you would, apply or rather cooperate with those requests. And you did quite well. You didn't answer any of our questions. Now, for the second part, I'm going to be asking you a couple of questions, whichever ones just pop into my head. And once more, the same rule applies. Do not answer them, and if you end up answering them, just, later on tell us if that was a lie or a truth. However, it would be preferable if you just didn't say anything back, because that way we can know that, you're not answering the questions honestly, because you didn't say anything in order for it to be taken honestly. Now, the first question is, have you ever been convicted of a crime? Yes. Okay. And what was the nature of the crime? Now, were you ever faced with jail time over this, or what sort of sentence did you receive after being convicted? Okay. Have you ever committed a crime without being convicted? Yes. And what was the nature of this crime? And how did you manage to basically escape the conviction of the crime? How did you manage to escape getting caught? Interesting. And is there any proof of this act that you can tell us? Any way where we can actually say that this is a fact that you did commit a crime that we weren't able to catch you on, and now that we have the proof, this is kind of where we can find you and convict you of this crime? Yes. Continue explaining. Great. Now, for more simpler questions, for instance, have you ever taken drugs or alcohol, or abused of alcohol? Because I'm pretty sure a lot of people have drunk alcohol, but have you ever abused of alcohol? Okay, and then what sort of drugs were those? And I'm talking about non-prescription drugs, not the, non-prescription drugs, basically. Okay, still stands. And have you ever engaged in any criminal activity, such as, what's it called? Hiring, a woman who works during the streets, or at the streets, or have you ever engaged in any sort of selling and buying of drugs, whether that be in a more business-related context or just among your friends? Okay. And may I have the name of your friends that you would sell drugs to? And I would assume that these individuals would also turn around and sell the drugs to other participants as well, correct? Yes. Now, may I have, if you are aware of their home addresses, may I also have their home addresses as well? Okay. Great. Yeah, names of cities can also do as well. You can just track them down by their name and just do a process of elimination that way. Great. And are you aware as to whether or not they currently have illegal substances found within their homes that can be easily found by, perchance, a CIA agent investigating? Great. Do you happen to know where they hide their substances? Great. Excellent. Thank you for your cooperation. Now, once more, how are you feeling with both of the IV drips going? The amphetamines, or rather the barbiturates and the amphetamines? We'll take you off of the IVs after we're done with the entire process and examining how you react and whatnot. We want to make sure that there aren't any long-term negative effects to putting you under these circumstances. Okay. But I've collected all the information that I needed to get, so I will be excusing myself. There might be another agent that comes along to further question you, but you'll be remaining on the IV drips as long, for what I know, for the remainder of the process. I'm not exactly sure when they'll take you off of the drips, but I'm sure that a licensed professional will be able to determine whether or not it will be suitable for you to be taking off of the IV drips in the proper time. So, thank you for your answers, and once you're taken off, we will have to continue this investigation to cooperate with information we got and use you as a witness, if that's okay. No, that's not okay. Well, too bad. So, thank you for your cooperation, and I'll let the other officer take care of you now. Hello. You're going to be my second project for today, so hopefully we can get as great results as we did the last patient, or rather patient or project that we investigated, or rather not investigated, that's an improper word for these sort of procedures. Sorry, it's just a force of habit. For this project, for this test, that would be a great word for this test. Now, for this test, I simply need to ask you before we begin, have you taken any drugs in the past? Have you ever, any illegal drugs? Well, actually prescription drugs as well. Are you under the influence of any prescription drugs or any alcohol, any drugs of illegal natures? No, great, excellent. You're a perfect candidate then. Let me just flip to a blank sheet of paper. Now, for this test, what we're going to do, we're going to take it step by step. The professor on site said that he wanted to conduct a couple of tests, one of them being that you end up not being able to see for a while, sensory deprivation. So when that happens, I'm simply going to, give you the heads up that you're not going to be seeing for a little while, and then you'll still hear the sound of my voice, but I'll be asking you a couple of questions, and then afterwards what was the other step? The doctor always has a couple of steps, but I think I'll just disregard those and go straight for the test itself that I'm excited to conduct. So for the first test, as I already stated, we're going to be blindfolding you. So give me a moment to find the blindfold. Here it is. Okay. So I'm going to be putting this over your eyes, and then you simply answer the questions that you end up hearing me say. So give me one moment. Now for the first question, it's going to be, have you ever been convicted of a crime? Okay, no. Great answer. Have you ever committed a crime without being convicted? Like, you got away with doing whatever you ended up doing. No, you've never. Okay. So you've never committed a crime ever, correct? Great. Now, have you in the past abused of drugs or alcohol? Okay. No. And are you aware of people around in your community who abuse drugs or alcohol? No. Okay. Are you aware of any type of criminal activity going on within your community or anywhere that you're aware of? No. Okay. Alrighty then. I'm just going to be jotting down a couple of notes for this test, just to see, just to note down some details that are of interest. Give me one moment. Great. Thank you for your answers. Now how do you feel after having been blindfolded for a little while? Okay. Be as detailed as possible, please. Thank you. For the second part of this test, which I'm quite excited to conduct, I'm going to be giving you some blotters. They're going to be LSD blotters. We're going to be keeping you here for a little while just to continually give you these blotters. Now what I want you to do is simply, once you are under the acid's influence, simply tell me what exactly you're feeling and what exactly is going on, so that way I can also make a note of that. And then afterwards I'll ask you a couple of questions again, and then see how you answer them that time. So, open your mouth. Thank you, and there you go. So I'll just wait a little while, and then you tell me when you start feeling the effects. Great. Now, I believe that, how many times have you taken these acid blotters so far? This is the 4th time you've taken it, so I'm assuming that this is like the 4th consecutive day. Great. So 4th day. Great. Now for the questions I'm going to ask you. The first one is, have you ever been convicted of a crime? Yes. What was the nature of the crime? Okay. Have you ever committed a crime and gotten away with it, as in never faced the justice of a courtroom? Yes. And what was the nature of this crime? Okay. Now, is there any way where we can prove that you committed this crime, such as evidence lying about in your own home, or witnesses that were around during the times that can attest to you committing these crimes? Yeah. And where may we find this evidence? And was there anyone else involved with you committing these crimes, or do you know of anyone else who commits crimes themselves that we can also ask a couple of questions to? Great. Their names, please. The nature to how they relate to your committing the crime, or the nature of their own crimes. Okay. And either their home addresses or the city that they live in. If you know specifically where they live, that would be a lot more helpful. Okay. So they all live within the same city. Great. Now, do you happen to know if there's any evidence that we can find that can kind of prove that they've been doing what you've stated that they've been doing? And how may we find this evidence on them? Okay. You are all set then. And for the questions, of course, on this subject. Now, my next question is, how are you feeling so far? How has the effects of the acid been taking to you, especially now that it's the 4th day? Okay. And how does this trip compare to your other trips in the past? Okay. Are you going through any pain by chance, or any, when you're off the acid like you were for a little while before I gave you the 4th bladder? How do you feel? Do you feel like the effects of going through acid are still lingering after you're done, after the acid has ran its course? Or do you feel back to normal, relatively speaking? I myself don't know how long you're going to be administered these tests. That's really up to the CIA and a licensed physician to determine. The CIA is here for collecting information and trying to see what best results we can get. And the licensed physician is here to make sure that we don't cross the line. Even though we never crossed the line. I mean, it's not like anyone's jumped out of a window yet. So, it's okay. Alrighty. Thank you for your answers. Another agent will be here to continue conducting these exams, just so they can accrue some more information that I might have missed, or conduct the remaining tests that I myself didn't conduct. And you should be all set for today. You might be administered the test tomorrow as well, just to see if you can, just to see if there's any other effects. But otherwise, you are all set with me, of course. You're still going to be going through the process, but thank you for your information. It was greatly appreciated, and hopefully this doesn't have long-term effects on you.